The CZ83. It never ceases to amaze me how popular CZ pistols are. In fact, reviews on CZs, at least on my channel, are some of the most viewed. Starting out obviously with the CZ75, which started a legend. And CZ's been around for a long time, producing really high quality firearms out of the Czech Republic. And we're going to check to make sure the gun is unloaded, and it is. Now this is the CZ83, which is the brother to the CZ82, which was only developed in 9mm Makarov. That was for the Czech Army, which served with the Czech military from 1983 to 1993. And so this has a long track record of 10 years. Obviously not compared to the U.S., which seems to carry pistols in their service for a lot longer time. But there were a lot of transitions back during the 80s for Soviet bloc countries. The CZ83 comes in 380 ACP, which this is the 380. It also comes in a 32 ACP, and it comes in the 9mm Makarov as well. Again, designed for the civilian market. These were discontinued in 2012 and no longer imported into the U.S. And much to my chagrin, because I really wanted a brand new CZ83 at the time. But to be honest with you, this little CZ83 that's a surplus, in fact it's a military surplus, has been imported actually by Century Arms International. It's an all steel frame. It is now a curio and relic according to ATF. So that makes it really nice to be able to get these into the country, and it loosens up a lot of the restrictions on these type pistols. It does have a black plastic grip. The frame, which a lot of frames, especially with these small pistols, are some kind of aluminum alloy, but this is all steel, which helps with recoil. Of course, it is a 380, which is not a lot of recoil in the first place. With the imported guns, typically you get one magazine. I have seen some sources where they can be as high as $49 that are brand new CZ magazines, or you can get some of the surplus magazines for as low as about $15, is from what I've seen. One thing that's a little confusing about magazine capacity is the Makarov holds 12 in 1, and supposedly the 380 holds 13 in 1. But there's a lot of sources that still list this is a 12 in 1 even for the 380. I got 13 rounds in this magazine very easily, and it shot extremely reliably with 13 rounds. So this is really a 13 round magazine for the 380 and a 12 round magazine for the Makarov round. With the 32 ACP, it's 15 rounds. So it gives you a lot of capacity for this size pistol. Now this particular model has seen a lot of wear. It's mainly holster wear, right on the top of the slide in particularly. There's some scratches in some places, but I bought this not as a collector piece, but a shooter. I really like to shoot. I do end up collecting guns because I like to shoot different type guns. But to me, a few scratches, a little bit of wear is no big deal. And you can see that it's a good thing it's no big deal, because there is some considerable wear. It's very similar to the PPK in design, and part of that has to do with it being a blowback breech action. It has a fixed barrel, and we're going to look at that when we break the pistol down. It has a 3.8 inch barrel. The gun from end to end is 6.8 inches in length. It's 1.4 inches, or a little under an inch and a half in total width, and then the height is 5 inches. To me, this makes an excellent concealed carry budget gun. These typically run around the $300 mark, or $350. They were going for about the $200 to $250 mark when they first started entering the country. And like I always say with surplus guns, guys, when they first come into the country and they're very inexpensive, that's the time to buy them, because they will go up to meet the value of the gun. You know, it's supply and demand, and when they first come in, they come in by the thousands. And so a lot of these companies are just selling them at very reasonable prices. So looking out for a gun like this when it's really reasonable is a great time to buy it. But still, it's a very reasonable gun at around $300 mark. And there are a lot of cool features. One of them is that here is your magazine release, and it's ambidextrous. And also the safety. Right here has a nice grip safety. Of course, the hammer has to be back for the safety to be employed. But here we go with the nice safety, and then also frame safety right here. What I do like about it, there is no magazine disconnect. So with the magazine inserted or not in the pistol, you're still able, once the safety's down, to fire the pistol. It does feature a really nice tang right here, or beaver tail, and this really helps you to get your hand way up high on the pistol. It has a very low bore axis, and that's going to help with recoil. The slide moves just over the hand. Of course, this protects from getting any kind of slide bite, and it really keeps the gun more level. The steel rides not too high in the hand and causes a camming action. So it's going to be really nice. In fact, it is. It's really nice to shoot out at the range. The hammer is enlarged, so you can really be able to pull that hammer back if you need to, especially for single action shots. It is a double action, single action pistol. So once the gun has been loaded, you can rack the slide, get around in the chamber, then you're at single action. Single action is really easy, but the trigger pull, which is not bad at all, but there is some take up and then just a little bit of sponge and then a snap. Double action is a really smooth, solid pull. There's no creep, it just comes right back and then fires. Reset on the pistol is nice. In fact, it's better than the single action. It's very short, and then it's a nice, crisp snap. Not really refined, but very nice for this type pistol. Double action trigger pull, 11 pounds, 12 ounces. 11 pounds, 3 ounces. 11 pounds, 11 ounces. This is really probably about 11.5 pound trigger pull. Single action, 5 pounds, 1 ounce. 5 pounds, 4 ounce. 5 pounds, 3.5 ounces. The grips are a little thicker, and that has a lot to do with the staggered 12-round magazine. It does feel your hand. There are wood grips available out on the market, but one of the things that's going to hinder this from being super thin is the way the frame actually flares out. If the frame came down straight, you could probably put some really thin grips on here to make this even more concealable. But even with these plastic grips, or if you choose to put some wooden grips on here, that would thin out some. Again, it's really a fairly small pistol. The slide lock on the pistol is very ample. It's fairly large, as is the safeties on either side. It's very easy to get hold of this, and of course release your slide. Safety comes up very nicely. There is no half cock on this pistol, but you can carry it cocked and locked. So with the hammer back, the safety in the up position, you can actually carry it this way. To be honest with you though, for me personally, being a double action pistol, I'm not really prone to carry this one cocked and locked, unless I had some kind of thumb strap to go over the end of the slide. But with the smoothness of this trigger, I think that it can stay as is. It's great. The slide serrations are really nice. Even though they ride kind of low against the frame, it's still very easy to be able to grab hold of. There is no texturing on the back strap or the front strap. Here we have a serial number, but otherwise there's no texturing. And really, I think in wet conditions, or if your hands have a lot of perspiration, this could be a little slick. I didn't really have any problems with it. There is texturing on the side, but really the main places to have any kind of texturing are these two areas. Here we have a rounded trigger guard. There's no serrations there as well. On the newer models though, you'll notice that they flattened it out, came more to a point here to be able to grab hold of the front of the trigger guard if that's your style of shooting. But this is just the older model. It's rounded off. 2 dots on the rear. At the front you have 1 dot. They are steel. This is held in with a pin. These are adjustable for windage. In fact, if you'll notice, this one's been moved over quite a bit. And then there is a little hash mark to mark it. And you can see it has a visible extractor. You do have some red here for safe or fire. It's barely noticeable. And the markings on the slide right here is the CZ logo, of course Century Arms International, Georgia, Vermont, and your serial number for your slide, which matches the barrel on this particular model, but then the serial number here does not on the frame, and that's the serial number that counts. There are different proof marks. Here we have the CZ logo here, model 83, caliber 9 Browning, which is .380 ACP. made in Czechoslovakia. Definitely shooting just a touch to the left, but really good tight groups has a lot to do with the barrel setup. I was shooting this at 7 yards. This one I thought I was just going to have one jagged hole, and then I fired that last round and pulled it down here. Very acceptable accuracy, and that fixed barrel is definitely going to help with that. The sights on here are ample. I mean, with the 3-dot sight, you can see the front sight very well. It rides up high enough over the slide, and then with the serrations that go along the top of the slide, any kind of glare. Now we have a cloudy day today, so it's not a big deal, but the sights really were very visible, easy to see. Field stripping the CZ83 is very simple. Just remove your magazine. We're going to double check to make sure the gun isn't loaded, and it is. Right here at the trigger guard, just pull it down. Now, on a lot of these type models, especially the fixed blowback designs, you pull the trigger down and move it to one side to rest on the frame. But that's not with the CZ83. It just unlocks when you pull it down. Take your slide, pull it all the way to the rear, and lift up. And it brings out with the recoil spring. Here it is. It fits over the barrel. And now you're done. The gun is completely field stripped. With the fixed barrel design, this is going to add to accuracy. It keeps the barrel very stable, and you'll know that if you've ever handled any of the Walther pistols, whether it's the PPK or the PP. Very accurate little pistols. Some people have taken the old Makarov CZ82 and replaced it with the 380 barrel. And of course, you know, with the pins and everything, it has to be done by a gun shop that can press the barrel correctly. I wouldn't typically recommend it, because the ammo is available for both. So, you know, really the 380 is a little less potent than the 9mm Makarov, but with the 380 being a US produced round, it makes it a little easier. I know that with my Polish P64, you know, I'm buying red standard surplus Makarov ammunition for about $10 a box, so you really can't beat it. The price is great. One of the things about this barrel, though, is that it is chrome plated. And that will help reduce wear. It also will extend the life of your barrel, and it makes it easier to clean. And if you're using corrosive ammo, which typically 380 wouldn't be corrosive, it will help with that if you're shooting Makarov ammunition that's surplus. Another thing that's unique about this barrel is that it doesn't use the lands and grooves. It's a polygonal design, very similar to what Glock uses, and that also extends the life of the barrel. For reassembly, take your recoil spring, slide it over your barrel, take your slide, and run the barrel through all the way back. Make sure that you get it in the rails. And then make sure that you bring your trigger guard forward. If you don't bring your trigger guard forward and you forget, the good thing is the magazine will stop halfway up. It can't engage, it can't fire that way. So that's a really unique safety as well. Once you push it into battery, the magazine goes in very well, which the magazine also slides out very well. One thing about the mag release is you're going to have to somewhat adjust your hand just a touch. And it was one of the things that my hands, just because of the grip, the size of this grip, your thumb just doesn't quite get to it, and you have to really adjust and pull it out. But you're going with 13-in-1, so you can shoot a good while before you have to change magazines. Now, CZ was importing these in a satin nickel finish and a glossy blue finish, but the standard models were a blue model, just like this one, kind of a blackish blue, and these were the surplus or the imported guns. One of the reasons why CZ probably discontinued this model is because a lot of the 380s that they're coming up with now are so tiny and so thin, very micro 380. Here, you know, you have 9mm. They're pretty close to the same size of this one with higher capacity. Being all steel frame as well, it does make it a little bit heavier. These do weigh about 32 ounces empty, so they're not lightweight. A lot of the polymer frame pistols do come in with an advantage of weight. But one of the things, again, about an all-steel pistol is that it is really great to shoot at the range, especially for ladies. It really helps with recoil. It keeps the weight down. And a lot of people just like some of the old school type guns. You know, me personally, I love polymer guns. I own a lot of them. But here lately, I've kind of wanted to get back to some of the vintage type pistols and a little more old school because they are a lot of fun and there's so many different designs out there. In fact, all over the world, there's just a lot of different things that you can come up with. And I think that gives it a lot of character. Really a joy to shoot at the range. 380 obviously is not anything too powerful, but it will get the job done. And just remember that shot placement is the most important thing with any caliber, but especially when you get down to the lower calibers. But I think this would make a great concealed carry piece. Up close and personal, even at distance, this thing's going to be able to do pretty good. And from what I understand, the CZ83 magazines will also fit in the 82 and will accommodate either 380 or the 9mm Makarov ammunition. The CZ83 has a proven track record, obviously serving with the military for 10 years and other militaries around the world. It is a very classic design, all steel frame. It's very reliable. I didn't have any issues whatsoever with the pistol, and really an excellent budget gun for those who are looking for something to conceal carry but really don't want to spend $400 or $500 on that pistol, but yet something that they really can rely on. The CZ83, as with all CZ pistols, thumbs way up. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America. Long live the Republic. This will grow facial hair on you after one range trip. Moye, the CZ83. This is a man's pistol.